Hey guys, this is Alexis, Soulfield Leather. All right, in this video, I'm going to dye a radio strap. What we're starting off with is just a blank radio strap blank. I already pre-cut everything, marked the holes. I went ahead and stamped the name. I'm gonna paint that later on, you'll see in the video. Let me interrupt myself real quick. I guess I should mention that this is Herman Oak natural vegetarian leather. Okay, bye. Truth be told, I really don't stain too often. And there was a really good resource on the leather elements on Weaver Leather, their website, their YouTube channel. And this is how I do it. In this video, I'm just gonna share that if you guys haven't seen the Weaver's video. But I found this to be really useful, really efficient for just long blanks. This would be good for belts or any kind of strap goods. So I am gonna need my apron for this one because I don't wanna get dirty. All right, let's get these out from hiding. I have it labeled and everything. I'll go over everything that you actually need here in a second. All right, so I got my material. I'll go over that here in a second, but a little prep work, and that is, I'm gonna line this eventually with another layer of 4 to 5 ounce natural. That's not gonna be dyed. So I don't wanna stain this, right? And then when I complete it and I glue the back piece, then I bevel it, it's gonna show and reveal the undyed leather. I think it should saturate through, but like I said, if you guys have any other, if you guys can speak on that, that'd be great. I really appreciate it. I am open to correction, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and bevel just the top side so that when I dye it, it hits that leather. And then when I glue it, stitch it, trim it, then all I have to do is bevel the bottom side. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what I'm gonna do. And if I'm wrong, so be it. Let me know in the comments below, but I found that to be the most efficient way of doing this for me. So I always wondered about running a beveled piece of leather through my sewing machine because I have a little fence on there. It came with the gate, and that's how I get it right where I want it. I don't eyeball it. I write it on that fence on a little edge finder or edge fence. I forgot what they call it. But so far, putting a bevel on there, it's not going to be a big deal. Hasn't been an issue for me on that fence. I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. But also, I use a Weaver #1. I know it's typically kind of small for these 14-ounce belts, but I like that look. It just takes the hard edge off a little bit. It's a little more flat, not so round, so that's another benefit to beveling before I run into a sewing machine. Let me show you what I'm talking about on the sewing machine. So I have a Cobra Class 4. I guess I should do a video on this soon, but I have this little edge finder, and I really don't eyeball it when I sew. So this is a big enough face, and the leather's thick enough that putting a bevel on it before I stitch it is not a big deal. So I just wanted to share that with you. So I don't know necessarily if this is a how-to video. I'm just sharing with you how I do it. Like I said, I am open to correction, so let me know. The other thing too is I let this dry because I kind of cased it a little bit just to get these stamps in. So I let it dry throughout the day because I think if it's wet in certain spots and not wet in the other, the dye will take a little bit different, and those spots tend to be darker. I don't know, that's just my experience, but it's pretty dry. Okay, so this is what you need. This is what I use. A little Tupperware container. This one's trashed. I'm throwing it out. It's sat for a long time, so I don't trust that. I'm throwing it out. Garbaggio. So I got a fresh one. Label it so you know. A pair of gloves for all you firemen. You know where you can get these at. I'm using Fiebing's Pro oil dye. Don't get the leather dye. That's alcohol-based. I'm not 100% expert on it. All I do know is that the Pro oil dye is better suited for this application. This is all I use is a Pro oil dye. Make sure it says Pro dye. I'm using just the red. And then this is a little secret. These dress sponge, I'm not sure. Big in the equine community. They come about 4x6. They're pretty big. I cut them down so that they are just a touch wider than the actual strap itself. You'll see why when I start applying the dye. So without any delay, let's go ahead and just start the dyeing process. I'm gonna do this in real time so you see how long it takes, but just to set the table, all I'm gonna do is fill this up with some dye, not much, and I'm gonna pass the sponge in one smooth motion all the way across and do as many passes as I need. When that looks good, then I'll turn it over on its side and I'll just hit up all these edges. This is the reason why I burnish, so I can get these edges. Do the other side, and that's how it's gonna go. I'm gonna do this in real time. The other thing too is if this was just a single layer, you can go ahead and do the back or not do the back. But if you don't choose to do the back, just make sure when you're doing the edges to pay close attention and make sure it doesn't bleed into the flesh. But it doesn't matter to me because I'm gonna put another piece of leather in the back. So I'm not gonna do the back, but you most certainly can in the same fashion. So, gloves. Ooh. I'm not gonna lie, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I'm a little bit nervous about this because I don't do this too often, but this particular customer wanted red, and I figured, you know what, let me go ahead and just make a little video on this so I can be corrected. I value your opinion as well. I'm gonna shake this up. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that, but I feel like I need to. The other thing too, before I begin, if you only have one table like me, and this is where you do most of your work, put down some cardboard, okay? So that you don't make a hot mess. And I would say that would be suffice. I made a mess. Don't do what I just did. That was really not professional. All right, so here we go. Am I nervous? Yes, I am. I'm gonna dip this in there. I'm talking just to buy myself some time because I am nervous. Dip it. Take off some excess on the edges. I think I need to do that. Here we go. One smooth pass. I didn't make a pass right here. Wow. Borderline embarrassing. Let's do that again. And I'm gonna keep going all the way. One smooth pass. This is the reason why I'm gonna do about 3 times. This is the reason why I have this sponge that wide, okay? So I like that. It looks pretty even. And I'm gonna come around to the edges here. I got most of the edges already, but I'm just gonna do it anyway, so it's uniform. Oh yeah, I bled big time on the bottom there, guys. This part's not an exact science. That was 3 passes. And what I'm gonna do is go from, instead of from right to left, we're gonna go left to right, and so to speak, so that we can have some heavier on the other side. I just made that up right now, that technique, but I'm hoping it's gonna be good. Now there's most certainly a lot of, there is a lot of dye on there. Okay, this is still live in real time. I don't know where to put this. We'll leave it right there. We'll take microfiber rag and we're just gonna pass this over like this. And to be honest with you, I don't know if this does anything, but I feel like it's the right thing to do. Guys, that is it for dyeing this radio strap red. It looks blotchy, but I'm hoping that it's gonna come out nice and sharp. And I'm gonna do another process I'll show you in a little bit. Let me take this off and then we'll change camera angles. All right, so that is, I don't know, maybe 3 passes, maybe a 4th one. I'm not sure exactly. You be the judge how this turns out. I'm gonna let this sit overnight, be completely dry, and then we'll reconvene again. For me, it's gonna be nighttime. I'm done for the day. But for you, it's gonna be a couple seconds and you'll see the morning time. All right? Good night. I'll see you in about 7 seconds.